Aquarius, stop. Don't blink, don't scroll, don't test this, because what you're about to hear, 99% of people will never hear in their entire lifetime. And listen very carefully. If you think you clicked this video by accident, you didn't. Not today, not on January 11th. January 11th is not a normal date. It's not just another number on the calendar. It's not astrology entertainment. January 11th is a decision point, a line in reality, a split in timelines, a moment where some people move forward and most people stay stuck forever. A portal just opened, not a metaphor, not symbolism, a real energetic gate known as the 111 portal. And here's what should scare you a little. This portal does not open for everyone. It never has. It never will. Some people will feel tired today. Some people will feel irritated. Some people will feel emotional for no reason. But you felt something else. Restless, alert, pulled, like you had to watch this. That's because this message was assigned, not recommended. 6 shocking truths are about to surface. 6 confirmations hidden from the public. 6 revelations they don't want you connecting together. And Aquarius, one of these truths is going to shatter everything you believed about your life path. Your past struggles, not random. Your delays, not mistakes. Your feeling of being different, not imagination. This message is not for everyone. In fact, most people would get uncomfortable and leave right now. But if you're still watching after these first few seconds, that's the sign. You're not early. You're not late. You're selected. And before you brush that word off, listen. Chosen doesn't mean special. Chosen means tested. It means you've been through pressure that would have broken others. It means you've walked alone when everyone else had support. It means life forced you to grow faster than people around you. And here's the part nobody warns you about. Once this portal activates, you cannot go back to the old version of yourself. Old habits will feel uncomfortable. Old people will feel distant. Old goals will suddenly feel meaningless. That's not loss. That's upgrade pain. Now listen closely. If you leave this video early, nothing bad will happen immediately. But in the next few weeks, you'll feel confused for no reason, unmotivated without explanation, disconnected from your own purpose, because you ignored a call meant for you. But if you stay, if you listen fully, if you understand what's unfolding right now, one sentence in this video will change the trajectory of your next 6 months. Not motivation, not hype, a real shift. Opportunities lining up without chasing. People respecting you without explanation. Clarity replacing confusion almost overnight. And here's the dangerous part. Once you know this information, you can't unknow it, which is why this video won't be pushed to everyone. Which is why the algorithm hides messages like this, which is why you were pulled here instead. Aquarius, your energy has been too quiet lately, too controlled, too observant. You've been watching instead of reacting, listening instead of explaining. And that's exactly why the portal responded to you. Final warning before we continue. Don't watch this casually. Don't treat this like background noise. Don't let your mind wander, because what comes next will either activate you or expose that you're not ready yet. There is no in-between on January 11. Type, "I'm ready" in the comments right now, not later, not after. This isn't for me. This is for you. This locks your place in this timeline. And no, you don't need to understand why yet. Now stay focused, because shocking truth number 1 is about to begin, and most people won't like what they're about to hear. Aquarius, listen carefully, not casually, not in the background, because this is the kind of information people usually hear too late. January 11th activates what ancient systems, modern energy science, and pattern observers all recognize as the 111 portal. But here's the truth. Nobody on social media wants to say out loud, this portal did not open for everyone. That alone should make you pause. Because if portals were random, everyone would feel the shift. But they don't. Some people wake up today feeling irritated for no reason. Some feel mentally foggy. Some feel unusually anxious, emotional or drained. And many feel absolutely nothing at all. Those people are not broken. They're just not aligned with this gate. Because the 111 portal doesn't reward popularity, age, success, or status. It filters souls. Not everyone can access it. Not everyone can survive it. Not everyone is even allowed to sense it. This gate doesn't ask who you are. It tests what you've endured. It scans your history, your resilience, your silence, your restraint. And Aquarius, if you're still here listening, you're not feeling calm today, are you? You feel restless, like something is hovering in the air, like you can't fully relax, like waiting is suddenly uncomfortable. That sensation isn't excitement. It isn't anxiety either. It's activation. Activation happens when your internal frequency rises faster than your environment can keep up. That's why familiar routines feel off. That's why small talk feels pointless. That's why you've been observing people instead of engaging. You're not bored with life. You're outgrowing timelines. And here's where this gets serious. The 111 portal doesn't open gently. It doesn't knock. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It opens silently and waits to see who notices. Most people don't. They scroll. They distract themselves. They numb the feeling. But Aquarius, you didn't. You followed the pull. You felt the pressure. You landed here. That's already confirmation. Now listen to this part very carefully. But here's the twist. The 111 portal doesn't stay open. And it does not remind you before it closes. If you hesitate during this phase, if you overthink instead of trusting, if you let fear talk you out of alignment, the portal closes silently. No warning, no sign, no second chance. And when it closes, life doesn't collapse dramatically. That's the scary part. Instead, things just stall. Progress slows, motivation fades, opportunities almost happen, but don't. People call this bad luck. It's not. It's mistiming. And Aquarius, timing is everything right now. This portal is asking one question only. Are you ready to move forward without needing permission? Because once you step through, you don't get to be half committed anymore. Old comfort zones will reject you. Old people won't understand you. Old versions of yourself won't fit. That's why this phase feels intense. The portal isn't here to make you comfortable. It's here to make you accurate. And here's something most people won't realize until weeks later. Those who ignore this activation will start feeling disconnected. Not sad, not angry, just off. Meanwhile, those who step into alignment will experience sudden clarity, quiet confidence, unexplainable momentum, not loud success, silent power. Aquarius, if your intuition has been louder than usual, if you've been pulling back instead of chasing, if your patience has grown, but your tolerance for nonsense has disappeared, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. This pressure you feel right now, that's not stress. That's the moment before expansion. One last thing before we move on. Do not rush. Do not doubt. Do not explain yourself to anyone. The portal responds to certainty, not noise. Comment 111 activated if you feel this pressure in your chest or mind right now. Not for validation, not for trends. This is how you lock your awareness into the correct timeline. Because what's coming next, shocking news number 2, will expose why your path has never looked like anyone else's, and why that was never a mistake. Aquarius, this part might sting a little, but it's the truth you needed, not the one you wanted. For a long time, You tried to fit in. You watched how others lived, how they succeeded, how they moved through life. So you followed the rules. You took the safe route. You copied paths that seemed to work for everyone else. And yet, nothing ever fully clicked for you. You did everything right, but something always felt off. That wasn't because you were doing it wrong. It's because you were never designed for their timeline. Let that sink in. Your soul doesn't operate on borrowed blueprints. Your energy doesn't move in straight lines. Your growth doesn't follow crowds. You're not late. You're custom built. And that's why your life has looked different. Your delays weren't failures. Your detours weren't mistakes. Your slow phases weren't punishments. They were protection. Protection from rushing into the wrong identity. Protection from locking yourself into a life that would have drained you. Protection from becoming successful at something that wasn't meant for you. Most people never get that kind of protection. They rush. They follow trends. They build lives they secretly hate, and then call it stability. But Aquarius, your spirit refused to settle. That's why things didn't move when you forced them. That's why doors closed even when you were qualified. That's why some opportunities fell apart at the last minute. It wasn't rejection. It was redirection. And here's where the shock comes in. The people you once thought were ahead of you, they're about to fall back. Not because they're bad people, but because their growth has plateaued. They followed a path that peaked early. You were delayed because your path lasts longer. And the people who doubted you, the ones who questioned your pace, your choices, your silence, they're going to need your guidance, not advice, perspective, because you've walked uncertainty. You've survived isolation. You've learned patience the hard way. That wisdom can't be taught. It has to be lived. Now listen closely. This part is critical, but here's the twist. If you try to prove yourself now, you block your blessing. If you rush to explain your progress, you interrupt divine timing. If you seek validation from people who never understood you, you weaken your position. Your power right now isn't in action, it's in restraint. Silence isn't weakness. Silence is command. When you stop explaining, people start paying attention. When you stop chasing, opportunities start chasing you. When you stop trying to look successful, success starts forming quietly. That's how your timeline works. Aquarius energy was never meant to be loud. It was meant to be inevitable. And here's something very few people realize. The moment you fully accept that your path is different, everything speeds up. Clarity replaces confusion. Confidence replaces comparison. Peace replaces pressure. You stop asking, why not me? And start realizing, that wasn't for me. And suddenly, you're not behind anymore. You're untouchable. Because you no longer need approval to move forward. One warning before we continue. Do not compare your next chapter to someone else's highlight reel. Do not let impatience make decisions for you. Do not explain your silence. The universe is watching how secure you are in your own lane. And Aquarius, your lane was never meant to be crowded. Type, I walk my own path. If this hits something deep inside you, not for likes, not for attention, this is you acknowledging your alignment. Because shocking news number 3 will reveal why some people are about to disappear from your life without explanation. And why that's not loss, it's preparation. Aquarius. Take a breath before this one, because this isn't a warning meant to scare you. It's preparation meant to protect you. January 11th activates a phase of sudden removals, not slow fade-outs, not dramatic fights, not emotional conversations, just silence, no arguments, no closure, no explanations. People who were once present may suddenly feel distant. Messages stop coming. Energy shifts without a reason you can point to. And the hardest part? You didn't do anything wrong. This isn't punishment. This isn't karma. This isn't rejection. It's realignment. When your frequency changes, Not everyone can travel with you. Some people are only meant for a season. Some are only meant to teach you something. Some were never meant to see the version of you that's emerging now. And Aquarius, your energy is rising faster than theirs. That creates discomfort. Not everyone has the courage to grow. Not everyone wants to face their own limitations. So instead of evolving, they exit quietly. And here's the part that most people misunderstand. People don't leave because you lack something. They leave because you're becoming something. Your presence now demands authenticity. Your silence reflects truth. Your calm exposes chaos in others. That's why some people pull away. Holding on during this phase equals self-sabotage. Chasing answers equals delay. If you beg for closure, you anchor yourself to a frequency you've already outgrown. If you overanalyze their silence, you drain energy meant for your next chapter. Let them go without resistance, not with anger, not with sadness, with understanding. Because here's what nobody tells you about energetic exits. When someone leaves without explanation, it means the lesson is complete. Closure isn't something they give you, it's something you claim. Now listen carefully, because this part matters more than you think. But here's the twist. The exact moment someone leaves your life, something 10 times better starts lining up. Not similar, not a replacement, an upgrade, a connection that understands you without effort, an opportunity that doesn't require proving yourself, a situation that flows instead of drains. But there's a condition. You cannot drag old energy into a new timeline. The universe does not reward clinging, it responds to release. That's why this phase feels emotional. It's not loss, it's detox. You're shedding attachments that no longer match your frequency. And yes, it might feel lonely at first. But that emptiness is not a void, it's space. Space for alignment, space for clarity, space for people who can actually walk beside you, not behind you. Aquarius. You've spent enough time being the one who understands everyone else, the one who waits, the one who stays. Now it's time for reciprocity. And here's the truth most people never accept. Some exits are protection in disguise. Some goodbyes save you from future heartbreak. Some people leave so you don't have to shrink to keep them. If someone disappears during this portal phase, don't chase them. Wish them well, and keep walking, because the timeline you're stepping into requires lightness, not baggage. Final reminder before we move on: do not reopen closed doors, do not reread old messages, do not question your worth. You are not being abandoned, you are being redirected. Comment: I release to consciously break emotional cords and reclaim your energy. This isn't about forgetting people, it's about freeing yourself. Because shocking news number 4 will reveal why your silence is making certain people uncomfortable, and why that discomfort is actually your confirmation. Aquarius. Pause for a moment and notice this carefully. People are watching you. Not openly, not directly, quietly. They're checking your social media. They're asking about you indirectly. They're waiting for you to post, react, explain, or break. They expect a response, but you didn't give one. And that is what's making them uncomfortable. Because for the first time, you didn't chase. You didn't clarify. You didn't defend yourself. You didn't over-explain. You chose silence. And silence, when it comes from self-control, is intimidating. Your calm energy now speaks louder than any argument ever could. Your stillness creates more pressure than confrontation. People can handle anger. They can handle reactions. They can handle emotional outbursts. What they cannot handle is when you stop caring enough to react. You don't chase anymore. You don't beg anymore. You don't explain yourself anymore. And this shift didn't happen overnight. It happened after disappointment, after being misunderstood, after realizing that explaining yourself never brought peace, only exhaustion. So you stopped. And suddenly, the dynamic changed. People who once felt powerful around you now feel uncertain. People who took your energy for granted now feel the absence of it. People who expected access now feel blocked. Your silence became a mirror. It reflects back their intentions, their insecurities, their guilt. That's why it bothers them, because silence forces people to confront themselves. And Aquarius, you're no longer available for emotional labor. You're no longer available for one-sided conversations. You're no longer available for proving your value. Your energy has become selective. Now here's where this gets interesting. But here's the twist. The more silent you become, the faster opportunities start rushing toward you, not because you're trying, but because you're centered. When you stop chasing, you become magnetic. When you stop explaining, people start assuming confidence. When you stop reacting, you gain control of the situation. Silence signals power. It tells the universe you trust yourself. It tells others you don't need approval. It tells opportunities you're ready to receive, not beg. That's why this phase feels different. You're not forcing outcomes anymore. You're allowing alignment, and alignment moves fast. You may notice invitations coming unexpectedly, messages from people who ignored you before, respect showing up where it never existed, not because you demanded it, but because your energy shifted. Aquarius. This silence isn't coldness, it's clarity. You finally realize that not everything needs a response. Not everyone deserves access. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Some people were only in your life to see how much you tolerate, and you're done tolerating. Your silence is not avoidance, it's authority. And yes, some people will call you distant. Some will say you've changed. Some will feel uncomfortable around you now. That's confirmation. Because growth doesn't ask for permission. It creates distance. Important reminder, do not break your silence to ease someone else's discomfort. Do not explain yourself to people who never listened. Do not lower your frequency to make others feel secure. The universe is rewarding your restraint. And Aquarius, the calm you feel lately, that's not numbness. That's mastery. Type. Silence is power if you've been feeling unbothered, grounded and detached in the best way possible. This isn't arrogance. This is alignment. Because shocking news number 5 is about to reveal the hidden test the universe is placing in front of you right now, and how your next reaction determines everything that comes next. Aquarius, listen very carefully now. This part is not motivational, it's directional. Because right now, whether you realize it or not, the universe is watching one thing. Not your hard work, not your intentions, not your past struggles. It's watching how you respond when you're triggered. That's the test. And it's happening in real time. A comment that feels unnecessary. A silence that feels personal. A delay that presses your patience. A memory that resurfaces unexpectedly. These are not accidents. They are tests of mastery. If you react emotionally, seek validation, chase closure. You don't fail because you're weak. You fail because you regressed. The universe isn't punishing you. It's measuring whether you've outgrown your old reactions. Because here's the truth. You don't get upgraded realities with outdated behavior. You don't step into higher timelines by repeating old emotional patterns. You don't receive miracles while still needing external reassurance. That phase is over. Now if you stay grounded, choose peace, trust the process, something very different happens. Energy shifts instantly. Resistance dissolves. Doors unlock without effort. Because calm is proof of growth. Anyone can stay balanced when life is easy, but staying centered when you're provoked, that's power. Aquarius, this test doesn't announce itself. It shows up disguised as annoyance, as disappointment, as temptation to react. And it feels personal on purpose, because the universe needs to know, have you really changed? Or were you just waiting for things to go your way? This is where many people fall off. They were aligned until ego demanded a reaction. They were patient until pride wanted validation. They were peaceful until curiosity chased closure. And just like that, momentum stalls. Here's the part that might shock you. Sometimes the test comes right before the breakthrough. That's not cruelty, that's confirmation. The universe doesn't give miracles to people who will sabotage them emotionally. It gives them to those who can hold them. But here's the twist. The reward for passing this test does not come gradually. It doesn't trickle in. It doesn't tease. It arrives all at once. One message that changes everything. One opportunity that overrides months of waiting. One realization that snaps confusion in half. Suddenly, things make sense. Not because you chased, but because you trusted. Not because you reacted, but because you restrained. Not because you demanded answers, but because you outgrew the question. Aquarius, you've already passed harder tests than this. You've survived being misunderstood. You've walked away without closure. You've stayed kind without explanation. This is the final filter, and it's subtle. No one else will notice you passing it. No one else will clap. But life will respond. Final reminder before we move on. Do not break your peace for temporary relief. Do not trade calm for curiosity. Do not reopen wounds just to feel justified. What's coming requires emotional stability, and you are closer than you think. Comment, I passed the test, to consciously seal your alignment. This isn't superstition, it's intention. Because shocking news number 6 will explain why this video found you specifically and what happens next if you stay on this path. The final confirmation is coming. Aquarius. This is the final message. Everything up to this point was preparation. Every word, every pause, every realization was leading here. Let's make one thing absolutely clear. You did not click this video randomly. You didn't find it by luck. You weren't just scrolling. You were pulled to it. Pulled by timing, pulled by alignment, pulled because something inside you recognized this moment before your mind did. January 11th is not hype. It's not coincidence. It's not just another date people will forget. January 11th marks a crossroad. The end of confusion, the end of waiting, the start of alignment. This is the moment when scattered energy begins to focus, when questions stop repeating, when effort starts producing results instead of exhaustion. And Aquarius, if you're still here listening at this point, there's something you need to hear clearly. You are not behind, not in life, not in success, not in purpose. You are not lost. You didn't miss your chance. You didn't take a wrong turn. You didn't fall off your path. You are precisely on time. Your delays were intentional. Your isolation was necessary. Your silence was strategic. Everything unfolded exactly when it needed to shape the version of you that could handle what's coming next. And what's coming next is not small. That's why this phase demanded patience. That's why clarity came slowly. That's why you had to let go of people, habits, and identities that no longer fit. Because alignment requires space. Now hear this warning carefully, not as fear, but as instruction. Last warning, don't doubt what you already feel. Don't rush what's aligning naturally. Don't look back at versions of yourself that already expired. The moment you second-guess this phase, you create resistance. The moment you rush, you distort timing. The moment you look back, you weaken momentum. Trust the stillness. Trust the process. Trust yourself. You didn't come this far to stall now. But here's the final twist. This timeline does not lock automatically. Awareness opens the door, but intention seals it. Only those who acknowledge this moment fully stay on this path. That's why action matters right now. Not effort, not struggle, decision. That's why I'm asking you to do something specific, not for engagement, not for trends, but as a signal to yourself. Comment all 5 below. Yes, all of them. 1, 1, 1, 2. I'm ready. 3. I release. 4. Silence is power. 5. I pass the test. This isn't about words on a screen. It's about claiming your position in this phase. If you felt chills while watching this, if your chest felt heavy or clear at the same time, if something inside you whispered, "This is for me," then this message was for you. Not everyone made it this far. Not everyone was meant to. And before we end, remember this. You don't need to announce your growth. You don't need to explain your next move. You don't need permission to evolve. Your alignment will speak for itself. Subscribe. Because what's coming next isn't surface level. It isn't gentle. And it isn't for everyone. The next message will shock even the chosen ones. Stay steady. Stay silent. Stay aligned. Your timeline is locked.